across the country with my colleagues back in Washington. So I'd now like to recognize your congressman from North Carolina, Richard Hudson, for an opening statement.
Thank you, Chairman. This is a day we've been looking forward to for a long time. I want to thank all the folks in the audience who are here today. I want to thank my colleagues for making this trip to my home here in the beautiful Sand Hills. I want to thank Chairman Jeff Duncan for your leadership. I want to thank our witnesses for making time to be here today. We really look forward to your testimony. And I think the testimony we're going to hear today is really going to set the table for a national discussion on grid vulnerability. And I'm proud that this discussion begins in my home here today with my friends and neighbors here part of this. We just this morning toured the site of one of the substations that was attacked, and I wanted my colleagues to see the sophistication of that attack and understanding the larger implications that plays into the vulnerabilities of our total grid. And I think we can learn from what happened here, what could happen somewhere else if a more sophisticated, or excuse me, a larger scale attack of this sophistication ever were to happen. There's a number of VIPs in the audience, and I'm going to get in trouble if I start naming some of them, but I have to single out our Sheriff, Ronnie Fields, for your incredible leadership, and particularly the way you've stepped up, and you and your deputies working with local law enforcement throughout this. Thank you, sir, for the incredible job you do every single day.
Is your mic on?
Is my mic on? Oh, wow.
I thought I was speaking loud.
Let there be light. That's a little too loud. I'm not going to start over, but thank you, Sheriff. Also, Senator Tom McGinnis, thank you for your leadership on the state level in the state Senate. I see Neil Jackson, our representative, and Ben Moss. They've been working really important legislation. In fact, I think the governor today is signing legislation that y'all worked on to increase penalties for attacks like this. I think that's really important. I'm going to get in trouble, but I know the chairman of our county commissioner, Nick Pacerno, is here, and a number of our commissioners. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for being here today. We've got our Mayor John Strickland of Pinehurst. Thank you for being here, sir. I see a number of members of the village council. Mayor Bob Farrell from Aberdeen, I understand, is here. Taylor Clement is here representing the city of Southern Pines. Thank you. Mike Harden, our district attorney. We went to separate high schools together. We've known each other a long time. Thank you for your leadership. I could go on and on. There's so many dignitaries and people here who have shown great leadership throughout this. Thank you for being here with us today. Again, as I said early this morning, we toured the substation that was one of the sites of one of the attacks on December 3rd, leaving my home and 45,000 of my neighbors without power for, in some cases, almost a week. In the aftermath of this attack, our hospital was impacted, threatening medical treatment. Schools were shut down. Businesses were affected. Stoplights went dark. Gas stations were closed. Cell signal was impacted. Water couldn't be heated. Our region suffered millions of dollars in damage, and right before Christmas holiday. It really made the hundreds of pounds of deer meat that I lost in my freezer seem pretty insignificant. But we felt that. An attack like this could have devastated our community, and we didn't go without our struggles. But overall, I am so proud of the resilient response of the people of Moore County in the days and weeks that followed these attacks. The people here truly showed the best of Moore County, the best of North Carolina, and the best of our nation. Community groups stepped in and ensured our vulnerable neighbors weren't left without access to critical care and resources. Within hours, churches like First Baptist Church of Aberdeen and First Baptist Church of Pinehurst and the Yates Thagard Baptist Church offered shower, laundry, and meal services. Harris Teeter offered free ice for folks for medicine and food. Staff and volunteers of the Boys and Girls Club of the Sand Hills partnered with our food bank to prepare 800 care packages. Our fire and rescue, police department, and library opened up their doors for folks to access the internet and to charge their phones and devices. All throughout, I'm grateful for the tireless and heroic efforts of the workers of Duke Energy, and local providers, including Randolph Electric Membership Corp., Lee Electrical Construction, and Pike Electric, who work tirelessly in the cold, 24/7, in the dark, under tremendous stress to get these substations back online. Thank you for your incredible commitment to our community. It's inspiring to see how everyone came together in our time of need, and I want to reiterate my many thanks to all those who assisted during this time. Again, I want to recognize our Sheriff, Ronnie Fields, for his incredible response and his leadership working with local law enforcement, and for continuing to follow up on tips and leads to determine who's responsible for December's attack. I share the community's frustration that we still haven't found those responsible. But in Washington, I've worked with the Select Committee on Intelligence to coordinate classified briefings from the FBI on their assessed threat, not only in this case, but the overall threat to our grid. I'll continue to push the FBI to make these attacks a priority and to make sure that the appropriate information sharing occurs and the cooperation with our local law enforcement so that those responsible can be held accountable. Since the attack occurred, I've been in listening mode. I've heard from constituents, from our grid operators, from community developers and business owners who have concerns about our grid security and resilience, all against the backdrop of historic high energy costs. I share your concerns. That's why, as I promised in the days following the attack, I brought Washington to Moore County. I want to show my colleagues who are here today not just the numbers and facts, but the people personally affected and to hear their experiences. Everyone needs to know the full impact of this kind of an attack, the urgent need to address vulnerabilities that this exposes in our grid. There are 45,000 stories of why Moore County and our nation need greater grid resilience. Now we have the opportunity to hear from experts in the industry and those who call North Carolina home on the current state of our grid security and how we move forward from these attacks. My colleagues and I welcome these testimonies to help us do our jobs effectively. And I can guarantee you, when we head back to Washington to work, our critical energy transmission infrastructure and what vulnerabilities exist will be at the forefront of our conversations. So I thank my colleagues for being here today. I thank our witnesses again for making the time. We look forward to the discussion that's going to follow. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you, gentleman, for his statement, and that concludes members' opening statements.